local chambers, mga kasama ko sa gobyerno, mga kababayan. I will just read a portion of the speech because actually I said in about 2 minutes we will go home. I assume that you have had dinner yet, but I have so many things to say to you tonight. One is that when I was campaigning for the presidency, and even during the presidential debates, I was the first to finish. We were only given a minute and a half, and I knew that it was sorely lacking of this space for which we are about to talk about the country. So I reduced it to a bullet form, and I said, if elected president, one is I will do away with graft and corruption in government. Second is that our country is being sieged by, flooded with drugs. And third is that I would try to talk to the enemies of the state if I can, and strike a deal with the so many fronts. And then I would be referring to the Communist Party of the Philippines and the rebellion that they have so far almost 50 years in the making. And I thought that it would be time to stop it, or we fight for another 50 years. Second is the drug problem. During the time of President Arroyo, General Santiago, who headed the PDEA, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, came up with a figure of 3 million. And when I became president, you saw the hundreds of thousands surrendering every day to the authorities. And we counted in my term for the first year something like 1,300,000. It was a very serious problem, and a lot of, you should know, crimes are committed on the streets every day in the name of drugs, the need for a fix. And the problem is, as I have been telling you, the market of shabu is not the Filipino people. It is the poor Filipino people. The rich ones, they don't bother or tinker with shabu, because shabu over time shrinks the brain of a person. I was one of the very first local government employee who constructed the first rehab in Mindanao, and it was about 30 years ago. But to my sorrow, the realization that about this slide, almost in a rate of 1 to 10, only 2 succeeds. And that would be an exception, really. 8 would definitely go back. Because unlike poppy, it's an organic thing, and the Americans are busy with cocaine and heroin. It causes, but over a period, a longer period. Unlike shabu, in 3 to 6 months of continuous use, it shrinks the brain of a person. And that's why I have so many killings. The latest one was a husband who decapitated his wife and shouted, "Pinatay ko na si Duterte. I have killed Duterte." And the other one was really actually a rape case. But you know, in deference to, not to anybody, but to you, I only answer to the Filipino people, nobody else. So I said that if it is that sad, by the human rights articulating the death of everybody, I said, well, I ordered the armed forces and the military to withdraw, including the police. And I gave the power solely to one agency, the Philippine Enforcement Drug Agency. Kayo lang, and that has been a very long time ago. I let go of I said, I will not supervise anything there. You do your job because the law mandates that you are the lead agency. I don't know if they will succeed because in the previous months I utilized everybody and yet we still have the problem. I am saying this because when I became mayor of Davao City, I aired my sentiment to the people that there can be no peace in this city until there is law and order. And I told the businessmen there, and some of you are here, and I told you, I will take care to attain peace, take care of the economy. And I was referring that to Chito Ayala while he was still alive in a gathering in his house. That is my article of faith. That unless we are really freed of the so many crimes and so many movements, rebellions, the Philippines would always be in a struggle. I have to deal with the Communist Party of the Philippines. It was the New People's Army. They are armed and they are ambushing, and you read it in the newspapers every day, that aside from the Marawi siege, I'm losing about almost every 10 to 15 either military or policemen today. During the campaign against drug, I lost about 156 soldiers and about 92 policemen. Why? Because in Mindanao, if you want to raid a certain shabu factory, the police cannot do it alone because they would be facing bazooka or M60. You have to bring in the military. And that is what happened in Marawi. Time and again, I told you, the Filipino people, the rebellion, the ISIS is coming in and it is funded by Shabu. So the last time you saw the tunnels around the building, around everywhere, there were tunnels in buildings. Those were the merchandise. Just before the onslaught, because there was a siege, they were able to save the drugs. I don't know where they are now. But as I've been telling you, it was fueling the ISIS sentiment. The siege of Marawi was purely ISIS. And that was why I had to declare martial law. And I said, we have to finish this or we go kaput. Then I will give you the same maybe advice that as the military has been mouthing it and the police several times, that be careful of retaliation. We know and I know that it's coming, where I really do not know. But somehow they would do it in places where the dominant tribes. I have nothing against the Moro. I have nothing against the revolutionaries in this house. I do not hate them. But I mean, I do not want to tinker with religion because it never has been, it is not now. But with the coming of the ISIS, they're using it as a vehicle when actually it was a matter or issue of territory. Remember, I would have to repeat this because it's still the headlines of the day. And once in a while, I get investigated from just anywhere. NGOs of other countries going here and talking to the Reds, the Communists, and the opposite party. The liberals who cannot accept defeat, and that is the problem. So I have to answer the charges because the people would be interested. Now, I said before, there are millions already afflicted. It was during my time where there was an interdiction and a lot of people died along the way. Faults, yes, plenty. We have it. But it is not a policy of government to declare war against its own people. But I have to save my country. When I was elected as mayor, and you know from Davao, there are some military men here who used to be with the Air Force and working in Davao. They are now successful businessmen. They have retired, and I said we were in a very topsy-turvy thing. Davao was a lawless province, and the art of assassination by the sparrows, they called the assassination squad sparrows. They used to kill 2-3 policemen a day in my province, in my city. I was then a prosecutor. But because I was only a prosecutor, and my home ground was the court and the investigation. And in many cases, witnesses disappeared, kidnapped, or intimidated. And I would just, sadly, I would just say to the judge, people of the Philippines versus Juan de la Cruz. And the judge would say, prosecutor ready? And my usual response was that, no, Your Honor, because my witnesses were not notified or are dead. So many crimes committed under the guise of in the altar of drugs. And when I became mayor, I said, I am not a policeman. I am not a soldier. I am a mayor, and I'm trying to build a city. Do not destroy my city. Do not destroy the youth of the land, because I will kill you. Most of you have been there in Davao. Look at Davao now. It is the most peaceful. You can walk around freely. We have hit the economic growth, the highest in the Philippines. %. When I was mayor, it was only growing at 2. I hope that my daughter, who is now the mayor, can maintain the momentum, the economic push for Davao City. There are no thugs, there are no muggers on the streets, and people can walk around freely. And I restored the use of the streets and the parks and public places. When I became president, I said, destroy the Philippines with drugs. I will kill you. Do not destroy the only wealth of the Philippines. 98% are poor, and the money of 2% is in the pocket of the rich people. As he says, the poor. I will say that again. The rich use cocaine and everything, but not Cebu. Poor neighborhoods and communities, because it's cheap. It's cheap to manufacture it. Today. So if you are a citizen of this country, you saw every day hundreds of the year they numbered 1,000,003. During the time of Arroyo, I said Santiago was the drugs board. He gave a figure of 3 million. When they get the invitation to come here in my country, it's only the communists out of disgrace, the show the number of people killed, allegedly extrajudicial killing. They have not bothered. Realize it until I became a president. How many mayors, governors were involved? 40%. Then a municipality or city, province, they don't bother to show that there were thousands of victims. And that is why you saw how many children, how many infants were raped. It was only during this time in my life as a Filipino it with your own eyes killed, and everybody was just quiet. But I could not take it as president. Fine. I said, but I will not allow my people to be brutalized. being made as slaves to a drug. And that is what happened when the Westerners went to China. It took several generations for the Chinese people to recover. There was even more, the 55 days at Peking. The drug cartels now is being handled by the bamboo. I have said I have kept a distance to just satisfy people. Okay, I'll give it to PDEA. I said you should come here first before opening your mouth, because our people die because the market and the activity is in their community. And the rich, because of their education, more higher than the ordinary guy on I said, of Marawi. It started with the implementation of a warrant to arrest it. Our policemen behave. There was this driver caught on camera walking around the neighborhood with the knife. When the police came, I suppose you saw that. Napanood ba din yun? Tapos, sa TV, ABS-CBN, he started to threaten everybody and the policeman came, pointed his gun and said, surrender. The idiot never surrendered. He went directly to the policeman and started to... Nakita ba niyo yun? And the policeman was trying to hold the knife. And so he had a slash wound here. And it was only when he fell down and the guy, the crazy, was trying to stab him that he fired 2 shots. That was the behavior of a peace officer in this land. Fortunately, it was caught on TV. Namin sabihin mo kay Kian, the minor, I'm not trying to attribute this to anybody. But let me ask you. Let me ask you one question. Why is it that in every arrest during the night, there is always a minor and a person of age? Why? Because this is the courier. This is the runner. According to our laws now, which was corrupted by one single honest person, I suppose it was not really malicious, but he tried to copy the Juvenile Offenders Act of the state of Washington and New York. Instead of below 9, above 9, below 12, above 12, below 16, and that is the intermediate. He made it straight 15. So these 15, 14 years old are the runners. He would just say, that man standing there needs receivable. He has paid already somewhere. Kaya useless yung mark money. It's not. They either just deposit it in your bank and they would collect every night. And the distribution is done by the minors. Once a minor is caught, that very moment when I said I'm a minor, or they sport around, they go out with a certificate of their birth. I'm a minor. If there is one single person, maybe without with malice, that destroyed and promoted criminality in this country, is Senator Pangilinan. Kaya ayaw ko namang, the last time he ran, I really wanted to blast him. But you know, I have a daughter who is now the mayor of Davao City. When she was about 14, 15, she was the only girl at that time. I have my second family and a second daughter. Different mothers, if you want to. I'm separated. I'm annulled from my first wife. I said, anak, said, child, what do you want for your birthday? I said, I want to have dinner with their idol, a singer, Sharon Cuneta, the wife of Pangilinan. So I called Pangilinan and said, can I invite you and your wife for dinner? Because that is what my daughter wants during her birthday. So I was almost all the years just trying to, but you know, when I became president and I became sometimes the butt of his criticism, so, do not blame him, blame it to you. Once the child would say that he's a minor, or the mother or the father would come to fetch them from, they go out immediately that night, however serious the crime may be. It could be stealing, robbery with rape, with homicide, or rape with killing. They go scot-free. There's no such thing as they're brought to a judge. It's a vacuum created by Pangilinan. There's not even a sense, even for a minute, that he would sit there in the police station and lectured upon on this sense of accountability or to account being responsible for an act. The right thing Pangilinan should have done was, if there was this radical change in law, at least he could have a colatilia or a condition provided that in cities and provinces there ought to be correctional facilities or halfway houses where the children are brought there and lectured upon of his role in the society, the sense of accountability in his character, and the duty of being responsible for the community. That is a reality. No need for me to expound it. Use it every day. And even your employees and even your neighbors, even your stores, I'm sure you have encountered it. And there's a stealing and say, as a minor, what can we do? Let him go. I'm sure your store, by this time, it has been there for 9 years, I think, 8 years. So we have this generation of Filipinos who go in and out every day and they think that society owes them something and they ought not to be punished because they grew up with that kind of setup. That is how the reality on the ground. I have to tell you, because you are businessmen, and I said, of course, as I said, I hold it as an article of faith that no, where the topsy-turvy society. I don't know about the drugs. Have they increased? Or is this a decrease? And there are 100 million Filipinos, and remember, there's only one agency now, Expedia, with 2,000 agents. Would it help? I don't know. Would it somehow decrease the criminality? I really don't know. But when the time comes, when we all suffer again, then I would call the human rights and everybody who passed by this country to criticize. And I would tell him, come here and solve the problem for us. Or if you want, you can send your soldiers and policemen. You can even send one shipload of soldiers. Come here, come back here, solve the problem. And you know that that is the real story. All of you know. Some of you lawyers, you know that. But nobody is expressing it, my outrage. But what is really very painful to me, I don't care if you think that it's a pretended sympathy or sentiment. You know, there are a lot, 2 million Filipinos out there. Some, or most of them in the Middle East. And that is why I was very careful. That's why it took us 3 months. Because I did not allow the army to bomb the shrines and the mosque. And I said, remember that there are 2 million Filipinos spread all over the world. And some of them, or most of them, are deployed in mosque and camps. Do not do a precipitate thing that would place them in jeopardy. That's why we tried to just sneak out, but to no avail. I've lost Army 157. And that is why when they try to criticize the raids and everything, they cheapen the lives of the people who lost fighting the drug war. Kaya ako nasasaktan. Kaya I use foul mouth. I am a very, you know that, I am a very courteous person. You know, it is maybe because you are rich and I am poor. It's something like that. Yeah, you have to defer to people with power and money. I've always been courteous to you. But what prompted me to use the insults was just to, I said, express my outrage. One, I said, you are idiots. You are an ignoramus. You are not talking sense. And get out of this country because you are playing games with us. Now, if you really want to help the Philippines, if you are a foreigner, look at it as a social problem. Again, I would say, bakit namatay? Why are these all dead? Ask why. Then there is history for that. That there are mayors. They are, by the way, most of them died because they killed their own policemen who did not follow them, like Paraino. And look at his house. Nakita niyo sa TV. It was shown on TV. Okay. What was the wallpaper of the house of the son? It was 500 pesos pasted on the wall as wallpaper. You see how obscene the war is? You cheapen our value as a Filipino when you start to mumble there and mumble here. Try to investigate why. Do not take the figures of those who died, because most of them died in gun battles. Now, are there extrajudicial killings? Yes. And that is why from the day I saw the TV, I ordered the police to detain the 3 policemen until today and are facing charges of murder. We do not, only when your life is in danger, then you have 2 things with you. One is the presumption of regularity in the performance of your duty. Second is that you have to kill him because you are in the performance of your duty and self-defense. You need not die just to arrest that is not needed. If you have to save your life for your family, another thing is that those Filipinas, most of them are domestic helpers. They go out, sometimes there are allegations of rape and brutality. I went to a certain country because the Filipinas, they were arrested for distributing rosaries. And since they were from my city, and they were there almost every morning crying, my wife said, why don't you do something? For after all, your grandmother was Muslim. My grandfather was a Chinese. I hope he's not occupying our land there in the South Pacific. Because I am already a Filipino. So I went there, and King Fahd was about, not really office rockers, but he could hardly communicate. But he understood our plight. But the chief minister told me to talk to him. He said, in the Arab culture, in some areas, not all Arabs, I repeat, not all Arabs, if you are there working unpaid or bought from the slave markets of Africa, sexual abuse is just an ordinary thing. That's why some of them one committed suicide. So about yesterday or 4 days ago. And plenty. They jump off from buildings and windows. And you have heard how many. I'd like to be frank with you. Look at my eyes. What is the most common complaint? What was the cry? What was the agony? That they work until the wee hours of the morning. They sleep 3 to 4 hours only and eat garbage, the leftovers. Then they're being used by the husband, used by the son, and sometimes used by the brother-in-law and the nephews. And I can understand why they commit suicide. You know, I hope the Western things should stop the rule. They don't understand that, you know, when you have a son addicted to drugs, the family is already dysfunctional. Because they steal everything from the house, pati yung kotse, pagbibili. It's the usual thing. Then, if the wife goes out there to work, and there is no mother and wife in that family, it becomes dysfunctional. If the husband and wife, which is usually what happens, go out, the other one in one country, the other in another country, then the children are left with the grandparents and the sisters. It is totally a dysfunctional family. And the drug people, because they are in the neighborhoods. If they are rich, then they would not have to go to. They watch who are with money. And they know that the children of the OFW have regular remittances. That is why they would just steal them and tempt them. And eventually, they get into the habit. Now, what is my complaint? My complaint is the mother goes out, endures the hours of working, eating garbage, working their backs to death just to be able to send money so that they are poor but their children can study and hope that someday they would have improved their lives. Yan ang masakit sa akin. I can kill you for that, actually. They suffering, lack of sleep, lack of food. They send the money all here only to be eaten by the drugs and the goods. And that is my agony too. And to my sorrow, because I am a president of the poor country. I never really is killing people. I don't want to kill people. I have children. I do not want other people killing my children. I want that stuff of violence. But given the situation, sometimes you lose your humanity and begin to act like a criminal. You are put in a situation where I have to take care of 110 million Filipinos. 98% are really poor. Do not force me into it, because I will do it. Just like Wari, how many days before I said, do not force my hand into it, because there was already a brewing trouble. That please do not tempt me to do it. But when the time came, I declared Marcelo. And so everybody was asking, when will it stop? It will not stop until the last terrorist is taken out. They are still at it. Now, the order, yung sabi nila si Doc, yung tatlian, Hapilon, tapos yung Doc, I think he's an Arab. He was taken this afternoon. And that completes the story. No drug. Drug is one. Well, let us talk of government. Have you eaten your dinner? Not yet? No, it's about 8:30. Am I correct? Give me another 30 minutes. Dinner at 9. Corruption. Did I tell you I do not like corruption? I just fired the undersecretary of DBM, Office of the Budget. I was lucky because there were so many people. I wanted to slap him. I even stood up to wanted to keep him in the face. Fired him for corruption. The other 3 employees of my office, I influenced peddling. Of course, not with the money, but this one is tinkering with the money of. I told you, stop. S-T-O-P. And I'm addressing myself. I'm better off with the. At least one thing good about the military is when you say just stop, and everything stops. The police But I said, you never find sanctuary in me. Just follow the law. But if you kill people almost on bended knees with the hands raised, and you do this thing for what? Who gave you the right to do it? Anyway. But somehow, I said, I suppose that the revenue guys do not bother you anymore. The feedback is no more. Wala na po. So at least the customs no more. Okay? Okay. So, these are the people I want really to kill. But I cannot kill because I am a shy guy. I do not want to answer publicly about this idiot. If you're not satisfied with the income, then you better go. Now, the next thing is that I know that on the national level, the executive department, there are three separate and independent of each other. The executive department, which is headed only by the president. Then the Congress, there are two houses there. The Senate, which is headed by Pimentel, and the House, which is headed by Alvarez, the Speaker of the House. Then the judiciary. There's not much I can do here. But you can report. You can report to me. That is why I'm against the Ombudsman and Serino. She has done a lot of things not really in accordance with law. You might want to take notice of the fact that, you know, every election we have a new set of officials. And the plate number 1 is for me. I do not use it. I use the ordinary number. The number 2 plate is for the Vice President. I don't know if Rodrigo is using it. Then the 3 is for the Senate President, the 4 is the Speaker. The 5th, I think, the Chief Justice. The 6 are cabinet members. It is only the cabinet members of the executive department under me. They are not allowed to use the number 6. It is an elitist thing, and it looks corny to me. Bisaya, hilasan ko. And I forbade there are also, some of them are rich really actually, but I said, do not use your Mercedes-Benz and your expensive cars here. You buy the Vios or who are the car manufacturers? I mentioned your cheap product. They are not allowed to strut around in my office. I do not like it. No special favors. They go around the country. They use economy. Do not take the first class mabuhay. But sometimes, because of their visa, they are requested to. There's somebody from the airlines who would request themselves transfer to out of, you know. So I leave it to you, but better still, if you really want it, use your own money and pay. But never allow the office, your secretary, to get a ticket for you because you're going to Davao on the first class. Do not do that because I will look into the purchase. How much was the ticket? Use only. Why? Because it's not our money. It's your money. You have your own income. You can use your own plane. I'm not rich, but neither am I poor. But I would like to just do something during my term. I've always believed that what was really pulling down the country was corruption. A lot of many investors shied away because right at the start. And I said to my, NEDA, famous for delays. We applied for a small-time commuter train in Davao. By the grace of God, that was applied during the mayorship days. It's still there. And I said, just because we are China, the ambassador Xiao, thank you. It's building a Mindanao Railway, and I think it's on a long term, it's almost payable in 30 years. It's almost a lifetime. I've stopped asking the new investments. The problem remains with the local governments. When I was mayor, 3 days. Never had no computer. 3 days. Then the permit should be out on the 3rd day. The NEDA, it's about a year, 2 or 3 years, are only given 1 month. Every cabinet, every department is limited to 1 month. Either you report it out, deny it, or you report it out favorably. But 1 month is the longest that you can hold to the people. The longer you sit on it, then the lure of it's a subliminal thing. You pay, and it will be faster. We have one company here, a French company is supposed to build the railway, that portion crossing San Juan. And the papers there in that office, Pasig River Commission, was there for about 1 year. And so I said, you're fired. The two of you, you're fired. And today I fired the undersecretary. And if there's anything that you want me to do to improve business and earn more and pay more, do not cheat me on the taxes. It's okay if you're delayed. Sometimes the momentum goes up, you go down. And if you are hard up, just ask Sonny Dominguez. He's a very reasonable man. Sonny Dominguez, by the way, your old businessman, was a childhood friend. He was our consistent valedictorian since kindergarten. Up to college. Valedictorian, bright talaga. And so Bon, is a brilliant guy. Tugade, do not doubt him. He was our valedictorian in the law school. And he's already a millionaire now. He will not need your money. Most of them are really rich. Most of them, Bit Aguirre was magna cum laude. My classmate. I'm the only one who have not received any baski of tansan. Even the bottle cup of a soft drink would have been fine for me. But for the life of me, Toto, I've never received any. I traveled the range of 75 to 80. Not even 80. 75 to 79. Because I was thinking, what would I need for 85 to 90? When you have the 87 and 77, 78, you go up together with the rest of the guys. Of course, you are not the valedictorian, so so who needs to be valedictorian study every night. No, 78, 75, all the way, all the way. And most of the guys, the brilliant guys here, the valedictorians and salutatorians, and my defense chief, he was a valedictorian. Si Delphin Lorenzana, valedictorian yan. And he was a top gun of his class also. He was a valedictorian during these days Philippine Military Academy. They are all good. And I, on the average of 77, is their boss. How to study, how not to study but succeed in life. That's the secret of... I don't know what brought me to the presidency, really. I never got, even during the debates, I was the only one during the intermissions. You have noticed that. I was the only one with no political ads. Well, I didn't have the money. So I was 4-3, 3-4, 3-4, 4-3. But somebody said, you will win. Alam mo kung sino to say that? Yung taga-Bagyo na healer, yung psychic, lahat pasyente niya. Kaya kita siya, mananalo ka. And I remember when his son died, si Ray Langit, he is as a television personality. It was in 2002 that his son died. But that son of his, I met him several times. He told his father that mayor will be president someday. So when I saw him last night, he repeated the encounter. I said, well, he must have something to do with destiny. On the last, I would like to officially thank the People's Republic of China for their help. We bought some arms from, I think it was Sig Sauer is a European company but doing business in America. But it was blocked by Congress for, they said it's human rights violations. The problem with these guys, I said, they do not come and bother to study and to investigate. There are many investigative journalism, journalists all around the world. So we were left with no arms to use. And I was already thinking of the trouble way ahead. I was projecting the drug war and the terrorism. As a matter of fact, and I hope I would not offend anybody in the police and the military, during the first command conference as president, they were all discussing about the various crimes. And after that, I said, I have noticed that nobody was talking about terrorism. And I started to talk about it. And I see it in the horizon. The dark clouds in the horizon says that it's coming. And only that it came. So, but we had left with less arms. China offered to help. They supplied us with the Chinese sniper rifles and the M4 Armalite look-alike. And it was good. And I would like to officially inform you, Ambassador Yao, that the rifle that killed Hapilon was a sniper rifle made in China. That's his philosophy. The two guys, Hapilon, and they were standing. They could hit a target a kilometer away. I mean, if you are just that big, with the magnification there, they were hit. They were not. There was no armed encounter. It was, and most of my soldiers and policemen died also because of this sniper. It's now a question of equipments. Now it's not the time for so many armies. If you have one battalion and then you are all sharpshooters and everything, and if you have the weapons and the equipment, then I would need them in the coming days. There's a new one, and I know China has it. Your telescope, even if you're a mile away, you will hit the target, and your scope, and there is a equipment there that would send it to the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi would broadcast it all around the world during the actual shoot. I have not asked China to give it to us, but with your help tonight to convince them, I would need. You can really see it, and they have this, you know. If you fire, that would be needed. For example, in Marawi, there's a white screen there, and if you don't even see, it's just a sort of a playback, the background. And if there's a fire there, it will locate the target where. So they will know that it is in that building. We do not have it, I think. And also, I would like to officially thank the United States and Israel for helping us. But the bulk of the plane loads, almost 2 deliveries, 4 plane loads of rifles, and I said we are a bit ready now. Putin is also, President Putin is a good friend. Maybe tomorrow, but I think they have unloaded the assault rifles already. But I will board the ship that carried it to the Philippines next week. But said it's about, it was only China who gave it on time. And plenty. Plenty. So we had a good, so I said, the countries help us. China, we needed it badly. You gave it to us. Thank you very much. And President C. Lincoln. And of course, the Americans just provided we just borrowed it. We have returned it already. They're not willing to give it to us, unlike China. No payment. The Israel allowed it to be used by us also. Because the thought of helping us was something that was useful to the community of the world. So that is what it is. If there is any thing that you do not want in the present government now, the customs is really that strict. I am very sorry, but we have to avoid the incident of Cebu getting passed. And I know the used to be with PDEA. She said La Peña used to be my chief of police for the longest time, and I trust him. He's really very honest. I've been my chief of police, an honest man. I would know that he would do a great service to our country. The others, mahirap nga eh. It's very hard to get an honest man. But to eat honestly, really, when you are hungry, is also something which you would have.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please remain on stage for the photo opportunity. And may I call the first batch will be composed of the 2017 PCCI Board of Directors and Officers. Please be on stage for the first batch of the photo ops. For the second batch, please get ready. The regional governors, presidents of the local chambers,
para sa pagbabago. Awa na ang bayan ko sa magnanakaw na tapo. Madilim na kahapon, ikaw ang mataahon. Sa piling mo